What is grounding truly all about? It's a subject that can sound so simple for some, and for others it can seem ridiculous. Like, what do you mean? So grounding over the years for this one has been a series of going through veils and containers and opening up each time to something greater, something more of a broader consciousness spectrum in time and space. So grounding is about where are you in space. We can not really pinpoint time because everything is happening at once, but we can pinpoint location in the time and space continuum. To begin with, feeling your own body is highly important. So for some, just opening to the concept that there is a physicality that is available to them, and with that comes the opening to the inner world. So when you first begin to feel your body, you are at your 3D stage, feeling yourself, knowing yourself, and beginning to come back into your body, because so many people project out of their body or are not fully in their form of soulfulness, scattered, shattered, lost, hiding. We also have that sense of self where it can be overlaid so heavily with psyche, with psychosis, with thought, with too many things, a form of busyness, that noise that comes from the unseen as well as the seen. It is all there bombarding you, so to speak. So you have what is coming from within and you have what is coming from without, what is already built, what is being built, put out there, created in time and space. So to begin with, your first point of grounding is your physicality. As you begin to feel yourself, and this can occur and occurred in this one through what was possibly the beginnings of what would be termed depression, where there was a knowing of mental overlays and why am I here? What is the point? All sorts of thoughts. As she began to utilize antidepressants in a very controlled way, not what her doctor told her, she did it in her intuitive way. And so as time came through, when it was time for her to start weaning her body off of that, she did that in her own pace and her own time. She told the doctors when it was time to start lowering the dose, or she just started lowering the dose. So this way she was coming back to her physicality, recognizing her existence as a physical being. That's first sense of grounding. How it happens for people is different for everyone. Sometimes we're grounded and sometimes we're not. So there can be this in and out kind of business. But as time goes on and you become aware of the concept, or not always aware, sometimes you're just doing it from within and you're aware that your body needs to be on board. So for some, it can be quite a physical thing. But physical itself, you know, doing sport, doing activities, sometimes is a form of escape too. So just be prepared that it isn't always that way, that, oh, I'm doing something active. Activity can run away from the body as well. With the grounding, we would say that you need to be able to imaginate, feel the knowledge that sits within, enter your heart space and come back to that solar plexus space to feel yourself. This would come through for people when they start saying that they are connecting to the earth. they see themselves with ribbons or roots or basically energy flow, and you open up that energy flow and begin to anchor to Gaia's body. So you move from your body to Gaia's body. What some people do is find that they have very shallow roots. So they are still connecting into earth, but at a level that if they're in a big city or somewhere, they can find that it's very noisy and that they are very scattered. Because if you imagine buildings full of people with vibrations happening all around, that is coming into the ground to a certain level. So you need to then recognize that you need to go deeper, and you go beyond Gaia's body to the magnetic openings, the portals. Now, sometimes we don't go direct to core. It takes a while for that to happen because our bodies must adjust with this as well. So this is an overtime thing as to how grounding changes for you, because your body is changing, your energy is changing, your flow of energy is changing. So you can then find, that's why many people go, I need to go to the ocean, or I need to go to a park, or I need to go out camping or out hiking, or those sorts of things where it is full on nature. So learning to then, because that can be disconcerting also for others. For some, they're very, very much recognized and loving the I am used to this feeling, the comfort feeling, not that it's necessarily good for them, but it is a comfort to be in the noise. So there is a part of the will that must say, I don't want the noise, I'm looking for something more, to find my inner stillness. So for some people, the noise, the vibrations of the country can be too much too. So when you start to feel the spirit of a plant, when you're going beyond the physicality, and that's where you're connecting into its telepathic expansion field, which runs through Gaia being the planet, you then are actually finding for some that's too much. So they will have allergies and just feel uncomfortable in those circumstances. But if you persist and you know that this is part of healing, you can come to that. So for some, well, actually, for all, at some point, you will need to connect into the earth, into the crystalline. So you start to feel and hear the crystal vibration and interaction. You can enter the portals that will take you to lifetimes of yourself through you, but also through history. So you can feel different versions. So for some, when they ground, they're not grounding into this version of Earth right now. They're grounding into another time when it was much more simpler for them. If you are serious about your embodiment, you will have to go through your various groundings over the timelines of Earth, and you may even then come to that part where you start to enter the portals and ground into different planets. So for those that feel like they're a star seed, you are often at that level of grounding into your planet, but you're not grounded in here. You're not feeling here. You are trying to escape it because you need to build your body and your capacity to be at peace with what is happening here, what triggers old stories and histories, memories that are stored in the body, stored in the field of you, stored in your soul books, knowledge of you that is needing to be brought back together, unified. As you unify further, you begin to then start to bring these connections like great roots, great energetic points of knowledge, points of being, what we would call 4D, you start to bring that time in together. So you are understanding the timelines of life and you and all that it is. So this is not an easy subject to speak about, in the sense that it is very individual. So I can't say to you, oh, you need to do it like this, this, this. You may be grounding partially here, partially there, somewhat there, and none of that. So over time, you need to get that circle of self happening, that circle of connection. That is what we would call the magnetic connection. So you need to build in your body open chakras, flowing chakras, which is all about going into your heart light and finding and discovering who you are and allowing that energy to flow from out of you as the creator being you are. Your light needs to be freed. It's a process, and you know, the capacity to hold light takes time and focus. You are altering yourselves. But the more you connect into these various formats, crystalline, nature, Gaia, Earth, and you hear the other planets, and you come to terms with who you are on a soul level, you move into the heavenly body. You start to connect to what is heavenly body, where it all interacts and talks to each other. So you have access to all of that. That is where you begin to ground, when you are starting to become electromagnetic. You ground through your personal sun, which is a conglomerate here. So it builds, and you begin to ground through that. You are starting to also build your personal moon, and you would be like an antenna, hearing and feeling. And that is part of who you are and what you are when you become a 4D, 5D person and beyond. It's the multidimensional nature of life, and you are pulling that back in. You are also having to recognize the connection to star, and star is the bottom section of yourself. To demonstrate sort of this area here, we have star, personal sun, personal moon. These are opening up in you. They become what we would call a white hole and a black hole. So if you think of duality, you are finding the grey in that. You are pulling in and pulling and potentializing and manifesting out. So you are in this creational, everything is coming in, as you are also feeling things come out and back to you. You begin to start this kind of in and out feeling, electromagnetic. You then move to the magnetic core, and that's when you can fully connect into Gaia's magnetic core, your own personal sun magnetic core connected to Gaia's magnetic core, connected to the suns and the various suns of the universal system, of the heavenly body, of the cosmic source, and you become source oriented and source grounded. So you are moving into that. Now life becomes very magnetic, in the sense that it's not law of attraction, but what is coming through you works within all these systems and speaks to the universal makings, and you begin to become a creator being, sourcing from your inner world, not from the outer world. You have the options as a lovely human to utilize what is in the outer world, but you are very discerning because you are grounded, because you are hearing, because you are embodying the natural life form you are. You are hearing your multidimensionality, and you are bringing together your team of self and beyond. You are bringing in new team to create a new earth full of beings who actually connect in these ways, who are grounded, who are sovereign, who use their integrity and stand in that. You choose, why is it that I am doing this? Is it a win-win for all situations? Or is there some form of lose? So we are not looking to demand you be this way. You be however you want to be. However, if it is in you that you are being called to this and you are finding yourself in confusion, then we suggest you start to ask, how else or what else am I to connect to? Expand. And that expansion happens from within. It then begins to come out and expand in you, and you build a very solid, impenetrable form of energy that works with creation from the inside out. It does not work from out here. You move of the world, but not cemented in it. You are a part of a very great beingness, but you are independent in your choices, in your decisions. But when you keep coming back to heart and when you slow things down, all those vibrations and carry on that are there, that is not healthy, doesn't add to your health, that pulls on you electrically, that demands that you play its game. It is asking you to be its belief system, but it doesn't necessarily stop to ask, it just draws. So go back where you can feel yourself. Ask for your inner team, your inner knowing. It's almost like inverting yourself. So you're like a big ball here. When you stop drawing on other people or putting your energy out to smooth them, stepping out of your body, you become quite solid here. And yet at the same time, there's an inner ball that is moving all the time in its own needs and wants. You are inviting life to build through you. You are inviting energies, consciousness to actually create through you. You are aware of the multidimensional nature of you. This begins as guides, but it becomes a part of you. You are that which is around you. You are drawing in various beings. Now, not all need to be with you. There isn't this sense that I must be unified as one, that we all move as one. No, but you become more capable of moving in ways that are being chosen from your conglomerate of you, taking into account your human, taking into account your soul, taking into account your aspect of source, taking into account Gaia. For you are living with her, on her, by her invitation. So it is healthy homes for all. So grounding need not be confusing, and your way of visioning it and seeing it is perfect. But if you become locked into one way and only that way, you cut off a whole pile of yourself. You cut off that which is available as the force of life. You cut off the fullness of your knowledge and experience, your wisdom flow. You aren't fully in the joy and bliss of being because you're not enjoying what wishes to be with you and you to be with it. You are not allowing the full capacity. If you are serious about moving to become a more natural human with all the capacities and abilities that you are feeling are possible, telepathic, biolocation, remote viewing, you name it, you can think of it. There are more. They will take some time for the majority, but some will begin to show the way in a matter of years. But you are semi-doing it, some of you already. Some of you are doing it, but there's not many of you. And there isn't a time, you have your own discernment about when and where to show that. But you keep working on your abilities through focus on self and unifying within the self and allowing source to work through you. Breathing that in. So if you're finding that you are scattered, even though you've been a very grounded person for some time, then we invite you to think about where next with my grounding. And it isn't more than that. To be open to the imaginative world of, oh, it feels like I want to go left and go here. Or I feel like I need to see my roots no longer as roots, but as something more interesting, more different, more, I don't know, it's like I've got wings or something along those lines. There are so many ways. And grounding, we tend to say happens just through our feet, but it happens because you ground through your magnetic core. It happens because you ground through your sun, through your moon, through your star self, your heavenly being. You are becoming a more grounded person. So the confusion with grounding is that it is physical, matter, and yet you aren't necessarily grounding into matter as you know it, or as humans know it. You know matter in many other forms, many other containers, many other fields of experience, many other places within the time-space continuum. We hope this will clear up some of the confusion and perhaps even misconceptions around grounding. Again, you must find your way with that, but we are intending that you will see beyond where you are and open up to even more. Every time you ground further into a new field of experience through another doorway, you will find that you need to level up. You won't do it until you are prepared to do it. But there are times when you know it's coming, something's changing, but you cannot figure out quite what it is. It's about finding that grounding space. And from there usually becomes comprehension of yourself in different ways. It may take time for that to unfold, to be healed or revealed. It isn't always that it must be something to fix in yourself. It's just acknowledgement of who you are. And how does that fit me now? Does it have place? But by knowing it exists and that I have come to know it, ground it, bring it back to myself, I have access to it at any time if I so desire. I may reconstitute all that kind of energy into something different within myself, but it will be within me, not out somewhere forgotten, separated from me anymore. I feel this transmission has come to an end. If you have questions, you can ask them of Megan in the comments, and she will do her best to tune in to us and bring that through. Thank you for being with us.